What if the Antichrist was here today? Who will he be? 5 clues of this identity. Can we draw out a model? What will their age likely be? Would it be a woman or a guy? Will they be Western or African? While working on this thought scenario, I hope we learn more about the book of Revelations. Are you ready? Let's go. First clue, the name. The name of the Antichrist actually reveals a lot about this person. Let us clarify the true meaning of the term Antichrist. The word Christ is from the Greek word Christos, which exactly corresponds to the Hebrew word Mashiach, from which we get Messiah. So when we say Antichrist, that means anti-Messiah. Anti is a Greek preposition. It has 2 meanings, and both of them apply. First of all, it means against. So the first operation is against Messiah. The second meaning is in place of. The ultimate purpose is to replace the true Messiah with a false Messiah. First, the Antichrist. We have about 9 features of the Antichrist, so let us list them. After 40 videos on this topic, this is a personal study. So if you see some personal opinions stand out, let me know in the comments. Further in John's teaching we read, "Hereby know ye the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit that confesseth not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is it in the world." 1 John chapter 4 verses 2 through 3. If we look at this passage, we see the 3 forms of Antichrist. For starters, there are many Antichrists. Throughout the history of mankind, many Antichrists have appeared and been manifested. Secondly, there is the Antichrist, a particular person. This is the last manifestation, the final product of the spirit of the Antichrist. At the end of this age, Scripture makes evident that there will be one last, most evil, most powerful ruler who will rule mankind for a short time, who will be the Antichrist. This is the person we are going to focus this video on. The third form is the spirit of the Antichrist, which works through every Antichrist. The closer we get to the end of the age, the more the spirit of the Antichrist will intensify, and the more we will engage in battle. John has given us 4 distinctive signs of the spirit of the Antichrist. These are of great importance. First and foremost, this spirit gets its start in association with God's people. They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out, that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us. 1 John chapter 2 verse 19. First, this spirit of the Antichrist always begins in some way in connection with the people of God. But it doesn't belong there, which will be revealed in time. The second mark of this spirit is that it denies that Jesus is the Messiah. As we see in 1 John chapter 2 verse 22, "Who is a liar, but he denies that Jesus is Christ?" And then John continues with the third mark. "He is Antichrist that denieth the Father and the Son." Remember this. The spirit of the Antichrist does not deny the existence of God. Indeed, the Antichrist will claim to be God's representative. The spirit denies the relationship of the Father and the Son within the Godhead. And the fourth mark of this spirit given in 1 John chapter 4 is that it denies the Messiah has come. It probably believes in the Messiah who will come, but denies that the Messiah has already come. So we have someone who wants to replace Jesus, someone who begins in some way in connection with the people of God and denies the Messiah has come. Second clue. The next question is, will this Antichrist be male or female? This one can be answered very quickly. 1 John chapter 2 verse 22 says, "He who denies that Jesus is the Christ." Daniel chapter 11 verse 21 says, "He shall come in without warning, and obtain the kingdom by flatteries." And 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 4 says, that he takes his seat in the temple of God, proclaiming himself to be God. This clearly points out that he is male. Third clue. What would be his job? Will he be a tycoon, a president, or hidden in the shadows making moves behind the scenes? By the way, guys, this is very different content. If you want more of these breakdowns, let me know. In the book of Daniel and Revelation, we see hints that he will be a great world leader. First, he works with other kings of the world. In the book of Revelation, we read that leaders of great nations will make an evil agreement in the end times. Revelation chapter 17 verse 10. 5 kings have already fallen. The 6th now reigns, and the 7th is yet to come. But his reign will be brief. This 7th will very rapidly be usurped by an 8th, and will become the state of the Antichrist. Revelation chapter 17 verse 11. The scarlet beast that was but is no longer is the 8th king. He is like the other 7, and he too is headed for destruction. The beast, also known as the Antichrist, can be identified without a doubt as the 8th king. The Bible speaks of 10 kings or leaders who would give their power and authority to the beast, the Antichrist. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. Revelation chapter 17 verses 12 through 13. The second hint about Antichrist's career is that the world follows him and respects him. Revelation chapter 13 verses 3 through 4. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? As people worship this beast and bow down before his government, it may be that they do not know they are bowing down to Satan himself, but it is worship of Satan nonetheless. They clearly worship both the beast and the dragon, but their worship of the dragon may be unknowing. The world will be amazed at the power of the beast, and will believe he is so mighty that he cannot be conquered. For a time, the beast will look like a tremendous winner. Another hint of his career is that he leads the war in the Battle of Armageddon. This shows that he is a great global leader. Armageddon is mentioned specifically only once in the Bible, in Revelation chapter 16 verse 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Despite its singular mention, the concept has taken on significant importance in our thought and imagination. Did you know that Armageddon is derived from the Hebrew Har Megiddo? Har meaning mountain, and Megiddo, which together mean mountain of Megiddo. When people hear Armageddon, they often think of significant world-ending events. The name makes people think of a big fight between good and evil, and it is frequently used in movies and books to describe the world's end. But this name comes from old stories and places from long ago in the Middle East. In the final days before the great battle of Armageddon, the world would witness events unfolding in rapid succession unlike any in its history. First, the rise of the Antichrist. This scripture makes it clear that the Antichrist's power and influence would be immense, but also rooted in deception and evil. Another hint of his career is that he makes peace contracts with nations. He would confirm a covenant of peace, which would allow him to gain the trust of many nations. Angel Gabriel himself warns of this Antichrist to Daniel. Daniel chapter 9 verse 27. And he will enter into a binding and irrevocable covenant with the many for 1 week, 7 years. But in the middle of the week, he will stop the sacrifice and grain offering for the remaining 3½ years. And on the wing of abominations will come one who makes desolate, even until the complete destruction. One that is decreed is poured out on the one who causes the horror. The he Gabriel described is the prince who is to come mentioned in the previous verse. It could be a treaty of friendship, non-aggression, or a guarantee of military support against any nation that attacks Israel. We read, "But in the middle of the week he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering." This man will prevent further sacrifices and offerings to Jehovah by turning hostile against Israel. The prince to come will make a covenant with Israel for 7 years, thus completing the 70-week prophecy for Jerusalem and the Jewish people. The specific reference to Israel is denoted by the word many, rather than a general reference to a group. So with all these points, we see a man with a political career. He will be a great leader in this field. Is he American or African? Where is he from? Fourth clue, an attempted execution. The beast and his wound. Revelation chapter 13 verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. This is a head wound, a mortal wound, not a superficial injury. Perhaps it is a result of God's judgment against the beast. The beast's recovery increases his fame and authority. All the world marveled and followed the beast. Twice later, Revelation chapter 13 verse 12 and chapter 13 verse 14, this recovery is mentioned in connection to the world's worship and devotion to the beast. Revelation chapter 13 verses 12 through 14. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Some people perceive the beast not as an individual, but as a governing body, viewing it as the resurgence of the Roman Empire as prophesied in Daniel chapter 7. According to this perspective, the Roman Empire, which was once extinct, will be revived, and the world will be amazed. However, when we look at John's words in Revelation chapter 13, it seems more natural to interpret them as referring to an individual who will suffer a mortal wound and then be healed. This individual will lead a revived Roman Empire, and his character will be dominant within it, although he and the empire are not one and the same. Wounded, healed. This is truly an Antichrist who even imitates Jesus in his death and resurrection. The world will believe this, and it will add tremendously to his fame and power. The fifth clue is the size of his support and his false prophet. Revelation chapter 13 verse 4. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? The world will be amazed at the power of the beast, and will believe he is so mighty that he cannot be conquered. For a time, the beast will look like a tremendous winner. When he blasphemes Jesus and persecutes God's people, they will appear to be complete losers for a short time. They worship the beast and the dragon behind the beast simply because of the beast's might. Worship of the devil and the devil's agent is justified purely on the ground of brute force. Robertson. The beast rising from the earth is essentially a satanic prophet who leads the world to worship the beast and the dragon. It may seem fantastic to some that the world will be led into worship of a man and of the devil, but by nature, men have an undeniable religious impulse, and they also have an undeniable rebellion against God. What men want most is not the elimination of religion, but their own religion. They say they want the kingdom, but they don't want God in it. The beast that rises from the sea will perform signs and wonders to support his false teachings. The false prophet will also perform a specific miracle, making fire come down from heaven onto the earth in full view of people. John emphasizes this miracle because in the eyes of the deceived world, it will appear to be a response to the miracles performed by the two witnesses, who will be ministering during this time and persecuted by the Antichrist and his false prophet. Revelation chapter 11, verse 5. To the deceived world, this false prophet will be seen in a similar light to Elijah. 1 Kings chapter 18. We can imagine the false prophet challenging, "Let the true God answer with fire," and then performing this deceptive wonder. In the time of the Exodus, Aaron performed miracles, and for a time his miracles were matched by the magicians of Egypt. Exodus chapters 7 through 9. In Deuteronomy chapter 13 verses 1 through 5, God anticipates that there will be supernatural works performed by false prophets and idols. As a warning, he advises his people to judge those who perform miracles based on their message, not just their deeds. Jesus said that some who worked miracles, even in his name, were false followers and would perish in hell. Matthew chapter 7 verses 22 through 23. Many will say to me in that day, "Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works?" And then will I profess unto them, "I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity." Jesus said that in the end times, false prophets would emerge and show great signs and wonders to deceive. Matthew chapter 24 verse 24. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Paul said that the Antichrist will come with all power, signs, and lying wonders. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 9. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. Knowing all this, the emphasis on signs and wonders among some Christians is frightening. Some Christians say or think, you can really know where God is and where His power is by signs and wonders. Thinking this way is to leave yourself wide open to deception. Years ago, there was a large multi-denominational conference of people who thought this way, and their slogan on a huge banner over the conference platform read, "Fifth clue, His existence shows Jesus is coming soon." The Antichrist meets Jesus. Therefore, if we believe the Antichrist is here today, it means Jesus is coming soon. This meeting occurs in Revelation chapter 16. In this chapter, we have an account of the pouring forth of these vials that were filled with the wrath of God. They were released against the entirety of the anti-Christian empire, along with everything that was associated with it. This judgment is poured upon the earth, upon the sea, upon the rivers and fountains of water. The 7 terrible plagues are poured out on the earth, In spite of the devastating effects of the plagues, people will continue to speak ill of God rather than praise Him. God's terrifying wrath purges the earth of evil. Both the sixth bowl and the sixth trumpet have something to do with the Euphrates River. Both judgments focus on militaries that have been motivated by demonic activity. The meeting begins with the drying of the Euphrates River. Revelation chapter 16, verse 12. Then the sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river, the Euphrates, and its water was dried up, so that the way would be prepared for the coming of the kings from the east. And observe where it fell, upon the great river Euphrates. Some take it literally as the place where the Turkish power and empire began. During ancient times, the Romans believed that the Euphrates River acted as a secure barrier against potential invasions originating from the empires of the East. At that point in history, the river stretched for approximately 1,800 miles, 2,900 kilometers, and its width ranged from 300 to 1,200 yards, 275 to 1,100 meters. However, if the Euphrates River was to be dried up and converted into a road, it would allow massive armies from the east, including nations such as China, India, and Japan, to move westward with ease. Speculations abound about the reasons why these eastern armies are moving westward. Some believe it is to destroy Israel, while others think it is to rebel against the Antichrist, a European-based world leader. In the end, they will fight against God and His Messiah. As God executes the sixth bowl judgment, He is guiding history toward the battle of Armageddon. What was the result of this vial? It caused the river to dry up, depriving the city of its sources of wealth, provisions, and other necessities. Revelation chapter 16, verses 13 through 14. And I saw 3 loathsome spirits like frogs, leaping from the mouth of the dragon, Satan, and from the mouth of the beast, Antichrist, dictator, and from the mouth of the false prophet. For they are actually the spirits of demons, performing miraculous signs. And they go out to the kings of the entire inhabited earth, to gather them together for the war of the great day of God the Almighty. They are spirits of demons performing signs. Again, signs and wonders are used by demons as tools of deception. The great dragon is making a final attempt to regain his power and status in the world. He is gathering his forces and summoning his spirits to launch one last desperate attack before it's too late. Here, observe the instruments he makes use of to engage the powers of the earth in his cause and quarrel. 3 unclean spirits. The 3 unclean spirits refer to the demons who assist Satan, the beast, and the false prophet. Through performing miracles, they will persuade the eastern kings, as well as the armies and rulers from around the world, to assemble and engage in battle against the second coming of Christ. It is clear who will emerge victorious from this battle. It is the great day of God, not of man, the Antichrist, or the dragon. Amidst the portrayal of the impending battle, there is a call to action to be prepared for the triumph of Jesus. After the meeting of Jesus and the Antichrist. The Bible teaches that the Antichrist's reign will come to an end at the return of Jesus Christ. The book of Revelation, which is a prophetic vision given to the Apostle John, provides the most vivid description. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies, assembled to make war against him who sat on the horse and against his army. And the beast was seized, and with him the false prophet who performed the signs in his presence, by which he deceived those who had received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. These 2 were thrown alive into the lake of fire, which burns with brimstone. Revelation chapter 19, verses 19 through 20. Here, the beast refers to the Antichrist, and him that sat on the horse refers to Jesus Christ returning in glory. The day the Antichrist meets Jesus is not merely an end. It was the ushering in of a new beginning, a source of hope for humanity. The chains of deception were broken, and the path to redemption became clear. For in the face of darkness, the light of God's truth always prevails. With the defeat of the Antichrist, hope and redemption began to dawn on the world. That day is a testament to the enduring power of faith and triumph. What happens after that day? The Millennium. After the defeat of the Antichrist, Jesus will set up a kingdom on earth, often referred to as the Millennial Kingdom, because it lasts 4,000 years. During this time, Jesus will reign with justice and peace. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. Revelation chapter 20, verse 4. Satan is bound and forbidden to act during the millennium. Revelation chapter 20, verses 1 through 3. Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, holding the key of the abyss and a great chain in his hand. And he took hold of the dragon, the serpent of old, who was the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he threw him into the abyss and shut it and sealed it over him, so that he would not deceive the nations any longer, until the 1,000 years were completed. After these things he must be released for a short time. Revelation chapter 20, verses 11 through 15. Then I saw a great white throne and him who sat upon it, from whose presence earth and heaven fled, and no place was found for them. And I saw the dead, the great and the small, standing before the throne, and books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged from the things which were written in the books, according to their deeds. And the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Hades gave up the dead who were in them, and they were judged, each one of them according to their deeds. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death, the lake of fire. And if anyone's name was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire. So, the return of Jesus will usher in two different eternities, one with God and one without him. When Jesus comes back, evil is defeated, the earth is restored, and God triumphs. Your relationship with him determines your reaction to Jesus' return. It will either be, as a Bible commentary says, the greatest calamity in all of human history, or the fulfillment of the blessed hope. Titus chapter 2, verse 13. Faith in Christ makes the difference. But when the Son of Man returns, how many will he find on the earth who have faith? Luke chapter 18, verse 8. The Bible emphasizes the importance of personal accountability. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. This means that people are accountable for what they do and will face the results of their actions. It reminds us that what we do and decide is important, not just now, but also when it comes to being judged forever. Despite the warnings of judgment, the Bible also offers a message of hope and redemption. The second aspect of this sign would be a significant reduction in the church's size. Most people's love will grow cold. When the whole church is under strain, many nominal Christians, if not all true Christians, would leave. Under the burdens of universal persecution, their love would grow cold. That's a very depressing sign. The big surprise in the third part of the sign is that the gospel will be preached to every racial group. The third part of the sign is that the gospel will be proclaimed. A smaller, purified church would have a greater impact on the planet, which is exactly what Jesus implies. False prophets can be a source of deceit in all of this. We are aware of the teachings of false prophets. When there is no peace, they teach peace. Rather than being a source of challenge, their message is one of comfort. It's all right. It won't happen, they'll say. All is fine. Everything is fantastic. The church is in good hands. That is a false prediction. They may be to blame for the large number of people who would leave the church at that time. Now, Jesus' advice is to keep going. Don't give in to these false prophets. Whoever perseveres to the end will be saved. When that sign occurs, when the world despises all aspects of the church, that is Jesus' advice to all Christians. Why should that be the case? The answer is that wheat and tares grow together, and the closer they get to full maturity, the more tension there will be between them. So it's only natural that Christians will be under a lot of pressure. Christians are social misfits, so there would be hatred. That takes us to the third sign of the end times, Jerusalem's distress. Geographically, it will be minimal. In this passage, Jesus quotes Daniel's prophecies, and a character in Daniel's prophecies is referred to as the abomination of desolation. Daniel mentions it 3 times. What does it all mean? What's the big deal? It's about a human being, a man, who establishes himself in the very city of God, calls himself God, and refuses to accept anyone else's will above his own. A tyrant whose arrival will have global ramifications, but who will be centered in Jerusalem, the city of God, the holy place. Then Jesus says that the 4th sign of his coming will come immediately after that. So, we will know when he is coming and be ready. When that sign comes, false prophets or messiahs will not be dangerous. There will be no deception. It will be too quick. What will happen is that all natural light will be switched off. The sun will go dark and the stars will fall. The Bible makes many predictions of this. Isaiah says, "The heavens will be rolled up like a carpet. All the stars of heaven will be dissolved. The skies will be rolled up like a scroll, and all their stars will fall like withered leaves from the vine, like foliage from the fig tree." The natural light will be gone, leaving only artificial light illuminating the earth. What is happening? What is going on, people may ask. This is it, Christians will exclaim. The sun, stars, and moon stop shining right before that happens. God turns off the lights of heaven to prepare for the blaze of light from the lightning that will mark his return. Then he comes on the clouds back to planet Earth, and we meet him. We are not meeting in an earthly stadium because there isn't one large enough to accommodate such a large crowd. We'll reach him in the air, and that'll suffice. Isn't that a fantastic prospect? When you see all these things, you know he is at the gates, just about to walk through, he says. So this is a man who wants to replace Jesus, someone who begins in some way in connection with the people of God and denies the Messiah has come, has the power to rule. He will have a large following, and he will have an attempted execution, and he shows up when Jesus is about to return. However, what are the clues to find the false prophet? We are working on a mind-boggling video on that. If that video is released, click here to watch.